it out over there.
First blood.
Thought you were ordering again.
I cannot wait to win this match, friend.
Introducing your champion.
Well, they chose me. The odds are full of all kinds of math. This might be a good place to land.
Land here. Here we go. Hang tight.
First blood, and it's not us. Wonderful.
Round one. Beginning ring countdown.
Go, Johnny.
Taters and corn, Johnny. Yep. That boy loves it.
Good luck. Have fun. Don't die.
Pay attention.
Alright,
You might
Johnny.
learn a thing or two.
Where you at, man? Did you watch a movie, man? What were you
Introducing
doing?
your champion.
It's opening season. Our path is set. Let's run.
Alright, way back. We're about to get fast paced here. Alright.
Let's make a choice.
Jump
Land here.
master. Go.
I'm the jump master. Hold your breath if you have to breathe.
I did. Yeah. Started it. Johnny made me start it, actually. But he was hot. There you go. There you go. Sensitivity is a bit fast. You good? Oh, you should have said something, Johnny boy. Alright, way back, you pushing? They pushing you? Stuck? Ooh, that boy got stuck in the gator. I'm getting flanked! Going for my boy Johnny first. Only one way. Down.
Taken out.
Oh, baby. Get out of here. That's the last one.
Frag out. Reloading.
I hit him 51. There you go.
Recharging
Here.
shield.
Is he right there? I missed every shot. Booked.
Reloading. Took out an enemy.
Make him rush.
I got you, friend.
Oh, I couldn't hear him.
This one's exactly how
I know, I was expecting to hear him. Dude, the volume in this game is broken. Thought I would hear him jump down, and of course I didn't. Yeah, can't kill them all, Johnny. Dude, the volume, the sound in this game is broken lately with this footsteps. Just don't get what is going on. Alright, well, let's get some soundtracks going. What should we play here?
It's only over when it's over.
Let's have fun, friend.
This choice changes everything.
Where's my thing?
Introducing your champion.
Get ready. I'm coming for you, friend.
How was your time with your family? Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either, so let's do it. Just stay together. Just try to stay alive. Play insane. There's a Gibraltar up there. I ain't go up there. But he's fighting. I got one.
Enemy taken down.
Oh, I'm stuck.
Took out an enemy.
I got away. I'm getting chased by a
Well
wraith.
done.
He is hurt. There's a guy over here to the side of. Oh, he's coming down on us, I think. I don't know. Check these. You good?
I need help.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Fire, friends.
He's in the distance, in the back with like a scout. Oh, he's already calling his homie back. I'm gonna try to get a shield over here real quick. Give me a second. Yep, good. Here, right here.
Body shield here.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I like I said EV8. We're gonna do something. I say push, let's go. Let's go right here.
Let's explore this way.
They're up top though. He's resin.
Spotted.
Let's see.
Arc star.
Kobe! Oh, it bounced off his shield!
Arc star.
Bounced off it. Yeah, they just fell down here. Knocked. Yep.
I killed an enemy.
You good? I hear someone walking. She's white. Only got 3 shots. Oh. Woo, boy!
Taken down. Killed the last
Bo
one.
Jackson on
Good
the-
work, team. I am
And GG's in the chat. Let's get some GG's. What'd you do, Donnie?
champion out.
Were you just chilling? Needed a break? Yeah, I'm sure. Work day probably didn't refill you. There's nothing here, dude. I mean, loot is absolutely horrible. That's all the way by the Mirage. Yeah, we gotta go that way. You used it? Y'all seen this in the chat? Pretty cool. It's right here, right? You got it?
Going to check out right here.
I don't think it's always there. I don't think it's like always there. Let's push though. I need to get a weapon, dude. I got an EV8 with 6 shots. Go for it behind somebody. Absolutely nothing.
Heads up. The ring's moving.
Even swapped armor.
To fly on a zip line. I am.
See my chat. There we go. Now we get a piece. Oh, lagging, dude. I keep horrible frame rate drops. I don't know why. I never had that until yesterday.
Incoming
Oh,
care
here's
package.
my grapple.
Body shield here. Level 2.
Are you gonna take that, Wavy?
I could use that.
They were right over here
Body
in the
shield
city.
here.
Dibs.
Is he a wingman? Push over there.
Train over there if we need it.
Gotta push there anyways. Lion. Yo, not even. Thanks for the follow, man. It's all the way back where we were. Yeah. Yeah, I can. Let me get the sign real quick.
Fly on a zip line. I am.
Yep. One big circle later. Oh, he's right here.
Hostile over there.
Quick. Knocked.
Enemy.
Knocked.
Taking out more enemies. Took out an
Oh.
enemy.
Guy had the
Was
health
fun.
revive.
They all fell
The purple Evo here.
Has been
We took out the kill leader. Good choice. Light ammo here.
Dude, that was crazy. Right in front of me and just hit me in the face.
Recharging my shields.
There's a gold over here.
Let's move this way.
Recharging my shields.
Dude, this Havoc is broken. It's so good. Are you hitting me, boy? Huh? Let's just get the gold under it. If I can shoot it.
Grappling.
Good? Fly. Let's go over there.
Let's go this way.
That's the city. So, Wavy, do you play like with a lot of people in the T1? I met you in T1, right? Or I haven't played with you yet, but in that T1 Discord. That's where I found you though.
Here I go.
Are you good? Nothing for the brother Johnny. There you go, look at that. We're like in Lion. What are these guys, dude?
Two other squads remain.
Alright. Yeah. Those make sense. Yeah. Especially when I look like a horse. Look at me. Idiot! Come on! And I'm even brown.
Here I go.
Lady probably thinks we're crazy. We just shut up fun, man, dude. When we play range, it's all too serious. Not too serious, we want to get to matches, so. This Havoc is a beast, though. Save the 99 until they fix it. They already announced the nerf. I don't know if they announced exactly what they're gonna do, but I know, right? What is everybody?
Like a care package is coming in.
He goes on. You playing with him? Oh, up here. This could be a
Might
lifeline.
be something good this way.
The care package. He doesn't?
fire. Reload.
Giving my shields a recharge.
They're actually pushing. I'm good.
Recharging shield.
Tried to throw his ult on me.
Portal placed.
Grappling.
Throwing thermite grenade.
Giving my
I'm
shields
right here. Knocked. Oh. I knocked. Yeah, I knocked him.
Patching myself up.
Oh, get off. Gibraltar's pushing in. Yeah, it's another team. Here, get together if you can. They're coming from the back side. The cave. Backside cave. Are you shooting the other team? I got him. He's down. He's dead. She's almost dead.
took out an enemy. Great. Close. Less than a minute.
Nice. You good? Back up. I got him. Alright, let's play this. This is the last team. I'm gonna get the advantage right here. He's right here. The Mirage. Melted. No shields.
Making contact with enemy.
Let's go, boys. We get the boy Johnny on the team, you know. Got the pack.
You are the
Man, that
Apex
was good,
champions.
You called out that Gibraltar pick, dude. You're like, coming down. I'm like, okay. Want to see those kills in rank? Well, I gotta play Pathfinder. Yes, 400. A lot different when I play Pathfinder. You want a couple more? Play one more. That was a good game. That was good. I'm gonna get my sweet tea.
I'm ready. Let's get the job done.
I cannot wait to win this match, friend.
Introducing your champion.
You know what I look like. Come find me.
This
Why,
is
what about
awesome.
it?
I'm the jump master.
Yeah. You want to go back to the train?
I say we land here.
So what do you want to do?
Got a good feeling about this.
Here we go. It's a long drop. Fun.
Can you open it right away? Oh, you gotta get the key, right? Oh, you're going right for it?
First blood.
First blood,
Alright, well,
and
let me
it's
know
not
when you
us.
find
Wonderful.
Here alone. Hey, I think it will zap all of our team in there. Yeah, I think it will zap me in there if you do it.
Already inside.
Really? Alright, I'm coming.
There is a new kill leader.
Yeah, it's...
New kill leader. I'll go this way.
I wonder if it will be a gulag. I wonder if they will do that. Where is it? Ready? Alright. I can't even grapple. You didn't get sent? What's here? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was pretty cool. He didn't even get to do it. That was the last one. I'm sorry, brother. Oh, I'm so sorry. He didn't even get to do it. No one even landed here, so I don't think so. I think it did. There it is. Somebody might have. Or there's just no loot. You want to push city? Dude, this loot is trash.
Go on, watch out.
I mean, dude, there's like
New kill
enough
leader.
Using rapid.
Spitfire. Avid. Come on, game. I'm going to search for city. Very cool. I'm gonna do this though. Go out. Oh, nice. Oh, wait. Glitched. Did you see that? My head got stuck in the wall. He fell off the roof. I told him, dude, and he fell and then he tried to grapple, failed. He tried to shoot a zip line, failed. Alright, I will even. Dude, I can just not believe that though. It was funny though. It was worth the memory. Even if it wasn't really. It would have helped to have him though in the ring, that's for sure. Right here.
Target over there.
All is always.
Using grapple.
Throw him off, I don't know where he is. Oh, he's
Frag
right
out.
here. Lagging.
Punching us up.
28, 18.
Taking fire.
Set up his Revenant. I already hit him like 10 and he set back. Yeah, I gotta heal though real quick. Pull back, Wavy. Oh no. Yeah, I sent him back. I got you, go heal, go heal.
Here's drone if you need it. Just getting my shield to reach.
Yeah, I got a Spitfire. Yeah. I'm not pushing in there. I just kind of want to. Oh, whoa. How'd I get flanked? You're right here.
Hostile right here.
Alright. After you knock her, there is a Wraith. Wraith still. I think that.
Enemy down.
Reload.
Good.
Reloading.
You can just heal up. Yeah. You drop your healer. Buy another team.
Recharging shields.
You used it. Okay. I'm just gonna rush one of these boxes. There we go.
Healing up. Eyes are open now.
Oh, where I got?
Here's drone if you need it. Recharging my shield.
Yes. How's the...
Kill leader approval.
New kill leader.
Body shield here. Level 3.
Good? Ready? Those ranked matches are so... I don't hate, actually. There's literally in this, like, second to last rank, 15 teams. Everybody just camping with Watson. Here, I might have to say. It's kind of lame to watch. There's just no action. I feel like that's what the ranked has become. Because no one wants to push, you know, because you're going to get third party. And then if you just... All the teams I was watching, they had like 0 kills or 1 kill. They're up here. Come on. Come on.
Grappling.
I think they're all the way on the other side.
Let's explore this way.
Not very close. I'll have an extra shield bat by chance. Yeah, I need one at least. 2 minus purple shield. Find a way. He's dead. Oh, he's not. I thought I knocked him. Oh, he's got a self-res. His friend's to the right. Watch out. His friend's coming back here. Alright, let's open.
Full squad down. Now we...
Recharge the last team.
Dude, that wingman, dude, it just changes everything. Get one headshot, it's game over. You?
Grappling.
Put my flipper down into the balloon. Kinda lazy. You lazy dog, you.
Yeah.
I think I just...
The ring is in close proximity. Less than 1 minute.
Oh! I wasn't even looking at my screen. Just in the volume.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
The
let's
ring
see
is
this in action.
Great. Already inside the ring. Using grapple.
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, these guys though, fell below me. Oh, you are, okay.
Care package coming in.
I missed every shot. Nah, I hit him. Are they coming at us still? If it's Kraber, I get it. Mastiff, you get it. You always want the Mastiff, so. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Oh, he's setting his thing. I'm about to break it, his totem. I knocked him. Just here, stay up here, stay up here. No need to rush him. Just make sure we win. That was a perfect flank up there, boy. He thought, oh, I got the totem, I got the totem. Oh. Rat trap.
You are the Apex champions.
There we go. There we go. Oh, that was the toughest game I ever won in my life. There is? Where? I got that one. Oh, I don't have the reskin. Ooh, the reskin's pretty sick. I can unlock it. Yeah, I got that one. Reskin's pretty sick though. I like that. But Avalanche, I think the Avalanche has the best site. Best hit registration on it. That's a pretty sick Prowler skin. I'll never use a Prowler though, so. Thanks for telling me that. I got a nice reskin. Looks cool. The reskin does. Let's see, I can look at it close up. Can you ready up, Danny? The sheriffs? Let's see, R99, where is it? Swift Justice. That's pretty sick. What do y'all think? That is pretty sick. With my, I got my skull on the side too. Look at that, Carlo. The skull. Yeah, see. I like that. I'll try it. Why not? Yeah, it looks sick. You got the do you have the shotguns? Do you have the old blue? Do you have any of the Lone Star, the Superstar, Northern Lights? Yeah, I got it as the reskin because I already had the Lone Star. I got 8 legendaries. Only one I don't have is the 2 humongous ones, the PAL 9000 and the Demolisher. The ones that nobody uses because they're just way too big.
I've got every they need.
Let's break some circuits.
This is going to be fun.
Yep, let's see how it looks. I'm almost there, Johnny.
This is your champion.
When I play without you, it's easy.
Death?
I don't know if
Nothing
it's like
phases
the
me.
mix of our like kill death
I'm
rate,
the
jail
jump master.
hooks, or
I
what.
won't let you down.
For some reason,
Except
when we
by
play
fall.
together, it's
Every
like,
road. Kick down
or if we play with like another. I think it's just the 2 diamonds.
Surprise! I hope I didn't scare you.
Pride is the true victory. Keep it.
Had to sneeze. It's a pretty good lobby. It's not like bad though. It's okay.
About this area.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
Hold your breath. If
Anybody
you have a
here?
respiratory system.
I don't see anybody, dude. I see people going maybe here.
Explore this way.
Yeah, one team maybe going there. So I'm landing right here. You just need to stay put. You're way away from us, Johnny. I got. Is that a gold? There's tons of weapons right here. There's R301 right there. There's a scout here.
G7 scout here.
I need armor. Let me know if you even find a white. Oh, I'm good. I already got RN9. I'm ready. I got good RNG. Ooh, this skin, dude. It matches my skin. My Pathfinder skin exactly. Look, come here. Show you.
Here I go.
Get that this first. Look at it with my Pathfinder. Ooh, like that? I know. Thank you. Just for you, Johnny. For the sheriff boys. Alright. Let's there's a flatline here.
Flatline here.
Oh, good. Alright, let's get ready. Someone might push
Let's
from
go
this
this
way.
way.
I'm gonna get on top of this wall and just look. I'm gonna see what I can see is looted. Did you land here?
Let's go
Somebody?
this way.
Okay, let me just see what I can see. Nobody looted here. Yep, they're right here. Yep, so we could ambush them. I could, because they're not gonna rotate this way. We could rotate that way though. So I think we should, honestly. That gives us a good rotation. It puts us out on the edge. You know? Yeah. Yep. I think that was a good idea. Alright, I'm gonna wait on y'all. Dude, my allergies. Ready? Alright, Johnny. Waiting on you. Yeah, they looted all of this. It's okay.
The ring isn't very close. 45 seconds.
Dude, we can see here. Might be behind us. Maybe he's here. I don't know though, I don't see anybody.
Using grapple.
Here. We can make it safe, so
Fly on a zip line.
push up here.
Might be something good this way.
Oh, he's right here. Right here. Right here.
Enemy over there. Frag out.
I got him broke up. I got him hit. 24. He's low. 60. We need to get on him right now. They went up top. Right here.
Contact with hostile.
Just don't break up. They're running. Oh, he's flash. 74 flash. He's almost dead. That's not the one. Yep. I'm gonna break it. Get ready. I'm gonna break it. Go. Keep going. That guy's behind us. That's the last one right here. Good job.
Whole squad down. Now we can loot them.
Good job, boys. You good? You got your healer? Can you heal us? Oh, dang it. I wasn't paying attention, sorry. I'm okay. How are y'all on ammo? You good? I'm good. Oh, that's Revenant. That's Revenant. Get ready. Or is that a call in? Can you peek? Okay, it is. Alright. Probably was the somebody maybe down in the like the water. They're over here.
Let's go this way.
You wanna fly? Let's fly.
There's a jump tower here.
Because the ring's already almost here. Well, I'm just saying if the ring's almost here because if we get in a fight, we're gonna get stuck in the ring. It's like it's right here. I can zip us, so. Oh, right here, right here. That's good though. Leave him there. Leave him there. Rotate in. Rotate in. Rotate in. Block this. Can you block this? Yep. You're good.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Who fired that? A guy right here. Let's. Yeah. Come on. Come on. All right. Do you want to fight that? They are pushing. Okay. Here. Come here. I got my zip. Zip us on the bone. I don't see him.
Target over there.
Let's just see if we can set up on the bone. Let's set up here. We're already top 9. How many kills, assists y'all got? Yeah, let's just play. What are you at, Wave? It's kills, assist though. Yeah. Alright, right here, right here.
Hostile spotted.
These two, there's 2 of them.
Let's explore
Yeah,
this way.
I'm just ducking. It's a Wraith though, so she already knows I'm looking at her. I didn't actually want to shoot, but sorry. Right here.
Target spotted.
I'm gonna put us up here once my zip gets back. Yep.
Giving my shields a recharge.
And I think we wait. Let's wait. We could get flanked here
Need to
too.
recharge my shields.
Sorry. I did too on accident.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Here, we gotta get off the bone anyways. This isn't even in the ring. Let's get over here. Star 9 right there. Oh, that's it. I'm about to put up here on my 73. So let's just hold right here. Can you put your fence on the stairs? Let's block it. Let's just hold this. Okay. We're good though. He's in here. Team in here. I'm at 86. I'm at 86. Just watch over here, Johnny. Because that team could push us.
Hostile spotted.
He's right here.
Enemy spotted.
Alright, I'm at 97. I'm gonna put it right here. Where are you getting shot from? Yeah, just lock that. Okay. Yep, right here too. Rotating or rotating. The ring.
Healing up. Eyes are open now. Hostile spotted.
Oh, he's back there. Purple. He might have a 30, 48, 48. They're in a bad place. They're gonna run. They're gonna get out of there. Get ready. Get ready then. Laser on. Oh, they're zipping on that. Yep. All right, here. Let's go over here. Put a fence. Put a fence right here.
Let's explore
So
this
if
way.
they do get up here, they can't get up here though unless they have a pathfinder. There's no. Yeah, I was gonna say. This guy's a low. Yeah, he's go. 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 Get ready. Get ready. He's over here. He's over here. He's on the tree. He's right here.
Cancel that.
You wanna hop on him? Okay. Flesh. That guy's solo. This guy's broke. He's broke off. Yeah. He's portaling. I knocked him. I got him. We gotta run. Wait. How many? That's all that's in there? I thought another team pushed. What? My bullet! I should've just ran, dude. It's a bad play. I should've just ran. Should've just ran. I pushed up there though, I thought that they were low. Felt my bullet, dude. I thought my bullet went through her, or my peacekeeper went through her chest. Dang it, that was perfect too. We wrecked them. That was all the same team though, right? See, that would have been a perfect place too, and I forgot to have throwables. If I could have threw a throwable inside that building. Oh. I wrecked the Wraith. Tried to get away. Oh. What we could have done? We should have just set up. Should have probably not done that, but it was a try. You're right. We could have won. We could have lost. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. What did we do wrong though? How did y'all? Because y'all took the fire, so I was able to push in. I knocked the Wraith, and then what happened? And I was in the building, and y'all pushed in the building. What happened? Was a season when I thought that I had fell off. Then I sat back like you crazy, boy. You know you well off. Everything I had was rented. Nissan on the side I was dinning. No 10. What happened to you, Wavy? At the mall, I was pitching my fitness in the beginning. Jimmy Jazz for the clothes, TV Johnny for the gold. Them was the goals. Never cared about my soul. I can wait till I get old. I'm on these hold up. Wait a minute, new beginnings. I was down, now I'm winning. I know who did it and I don't forget it. You know I'm still about the family business. I gotta get back. Turn that on. $400 points away. Being the good old diamond. You get something special for each. If you reach the same level each split, someone was telling me you get like a special heirloom for what you reach. So like if you get platinum or diamond, masters or whatever predator, you get like something special. Yeah. I'm always in the Iowa, the East. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, whenever it usually log on.
I hear the blind with a speech. They hit the beach for a piece. I brought my piece to the beach. Got some, got some, got some. They want that healing, I got some. They want that realness, it cost some. Costly, cost me penny bands. They try to block me. Told me stop talking that blackness, so kicked you out the party. Gnarly. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. I found myself hit the lottery. No need to make an apology. Can't take that credit, it's got to me. I broke the chains on the ship. I broke the chain of command. He broke the chains on my sin. Then put that chain on my neck. My lady told me I'm kinda fly. My daddy told me he gotta fly. Mama still call me her little guy. Grandma told me to go testify. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me.
It used to play, now it just don't play at all. I don't know why.
Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need a friend of the game. Y'all know Craig gon' preach. Y'all know Zay on beat. Y'all know they gon' beat. Y'all press play, repeat. East side, east
You play mouse and keyboard, baby?
on the east side. They used to play on the east side. Gucci done came from the east side. I got that light. I got that glow. Look at me shine. That's how you know. I don't need diamonds or jewelry. Your VVS is a blurry. Been through too much to be scurry. I'd rather pray you could worry. I got the Lord with me. Walk through the valley of death. Predators on every side. I'm in a war with the flesh. They wanna feast on my flesh. This is not merely a test. They tryna put me to rest. I let them deal with the mess. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need the friend of the game. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people on either because a lot of the there was all those scrims today. I did. What kind? It's a bucket. Good thing you don't play with a controller. That's one thing I don't miss is when you eat. Like with a mouse and keyboard, you can eat, you know, and it don't affect your fingers. It don't really matter what you eat. But with a controller, your sticks get all greasy. Man, I don't know. We gotta go back and look at that. I think it was just somebody had to miss the shots. Because we cracked them in the building. I was taking clutch in the building, and then I chased down the that Wraith, killed her, so that left 2v2 or 3v2.
It's my turn this time.
And y'all were knocked as soon as I killed her.
I'm the Jump Master. I won't let you down, except by falling.
Yeah, it's probably true. I didn't even think about I was doing that.
Hold your breath. Is that how I do it?
Yeah, I didn't realize. I was trying to kill her, I think, because I was trying to get the shield. I think that might have been my kill jaw. Should have just pushed right up there. Is anybody here with us? I ain't paying attention. Not looking. Alright, they're right next to us. Stay together, stay together. I got a blue already. Got an alternator. Stay together. They're behind you, Johnny.
We're inside.
Alright. Push with him. Just flash. Right here. I'm getting shot in my back. He's right here. Hey, stay in this building. Stay in this building for now. This guy's separated. Let's go this way. They're up top. They're up top. You downed him? Alright. I'm already up there. Dead. Other one's pushing across up top. On the other side. He was over here.
Let's move this way.
No loot. There's this. He didn't have a shield, no. I'm nading.
Frag out.
He's cracked. 86. We're good. We're coming back.
Took out an enemy.
Okay, we're good. Right behind you, brother. Is he going on top? It's a crypto. He's running, I think. Where is he? That's a new team. Let's fly out, dude. Let's fly. That's a new team. Because that's a Wraith. I just killed a Wraith. Let's fly out. I'm right here. Get out of here. Did you loot this guy? I think it's better to fly, dude. Yeah, they're getting pushed. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Let's rotate this way. There could be a team here though, so stay close because the ship. Are you up top? Here, stay up top. Johnny, you're down. They're coming at you. Come down, get up here. Alright, 15 seconds. Come here. Here, drop over here. He's running. I'm gonna zip us to here. Go, just go. Good, I'm good. He's already good. Nice. Okay, let's just... No, I don't. We need to try to loot. Let's just keep pushing. Try to loot on the way. He's all looted.
There's a jump tower here.
Need to get some heals. You want to go here?
Let's go this way.
Yeah, I think we should try to rotate to get some heals. Someone's flying. Oh, they're flying into the ring.
Care package.
It's all looted.
Incoming care package. I love loot.
Yeah. Try to find something.
Ultimate accelerant here.
This is unlooted. I think these are unlooted.
Let's explore this.
But I know. Yeah, I think that is unlooted. Alright. Nice.
Recharging shield.
Alright, boys. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch
Extended
that.
heavy mag here.
I need it.
CR99, let me know. $47, purple.
Hostile over
He's
there.
running. He's a rat. Just leave him. Do we need more loot, or are you good?
Repair it.
Yeah, I'm still low. I think we should try to He's on top. He's on top of the building up there. They're not shooting at us. They're shooting. Oh, they are? They're getting pushed right now. Crack him. Let's rotate in.
Airstrike on.
Let's go in. Let's go in over here.
Taking fire, friends.
He's just shooting at us from up there. We're gonna have to rotate in. And oh! I'm dead. I don't know if he's cheating or not. I'm instantly dead. He's coming this way. I got shot. I'm dead. Just run. Just run. I don't know if that guy's cheating, but they're coming. Just run. Maybe we can still
Might be something good this way.
Should be able to get away. Obviously, that team is the best. They've got charge rifles and tanks. Yeah, I think that guy that killed me, that was the Wraith, was pushing me. Yeah, lethal.
Supply bin here.
Make sure you get me. Oh, you did get me! Let's go! That's good, dude. Don't shoot. Oh, if you don't. Just run. You gotta fight. Nice, Johnny. Nice, Johnny. You're good. He's good. He got one. That PK. There you go. Another team out there. It must be two. Nice. Oh, that's why I got wrecked. That was the champion squad. All masters from one there. Dude, no. Right, that was I don't really know. I don't think we could have done anything else. We could have locked down that building, even though it was outside a ring. We could have locked down that building that was right below the airbase. That building that we were in, that we pushed out when but we were rotating in, and that team literally lasered me. I couldn't even respond. It was like 1 second, I was dead. I just want my air. What else we could have done? I think I can rewind. Maybe I can. Yeah, we got Watson, so I think once we get those kills, we just need to set up. I don't know, I never thought of just setting up though right there. Just thought, let's rotate in. I feel like every time we turned a corner, there was a team though. You know what I mean? Like we try to rotate that one way, there's a team, we ended up getting out.
greater. But she was broke a month ago and now she getting paper. I don't condone it, but I don't condemn. I know she a gem. For we hate, we all volunteer to help her change the world.
Right, and we had a lot of good great escapes, but how many of those can you get? You know? We escaped the first. We didn't push out into Skull Town. We were going up. I mean, that was a battle. Then we escaped. That was just crazy.
Why'd she go south?
Only God could judge me. Only God could judge me. Only God could judge me. Only God could judge. Made a plan, took a stand. They could judge it, they won't. I'm just saying, I ain't playing.
Boy, stay playing.
Only God could judge me.
100K followers. That's pretty cool.
They condemn but don't offend me. I'm still in this web. I know my lane. Stay low, no fame. I die, I gain. They laugh, my pain. I know these people won't judge me. I know they look at me funny. They talk about me so ugly, but I'm still gonna keep it 100. Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it all up, all up. Tally up the total, put it on us, on us. Let God.
Let's just try to set up next time once we get those kills right away.
So I ain't worried about none. Who you better get up off it, off it, sauce. This what daddy bought me. Pay your
Yeah.
cross me. Only God could judge me. Only God could judge me.
Yeah.
Only God could judge me.
Yeah, because everybody's getting on now, too. A lot of streamers. Gonna be a lot of sweats.
Only God could judge me. I put God above me. I seen it all. People who want you to fall. Find everything you do wrong. What is you want? Picking apart every song. Tell me what more do you want? I don't understand it. All this reprimand. You come be my stand. See if you can stand it. I don't really care if you judge.
Oh, yeah, dude, you did. You waxed him. He was messed up. He didn't expect that thermite. You threw that first one and it didn't hit him, but that second one, he was burning bad. And then you hit him with Wingman. He was surprised. I don't think he really expected you to be right there. That's what it looked like, at least. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel like those guys were like amazing. They play smarter. I feel at least. I mean, but too, we've been on the grind for what? Yeah, so next season though is for real. Day one, I'm going in. Might wait a week for people to rank up, but I'm gonna get up there, dude. Especially too, I want to get in diamond because I don't want to be in gold. Which I know I'll get in diamond, but or I mean I don't want to be in silver. After the reset. Man, this Valorant, I can't believe people are liking it this much.
I did it. I've been in these trenches a minute. To the end of the earth, I'm a witness. From Egypt, I'm way down to Sydney. I'm still hungry like I never ate. I'm making waves where it ain't a way. The devil try to take my flame away. I love Kobe, but no fade away. I still pull up on the block. I still watch out for dirty cops. I'm still telling about the rock. They still hoping I'ma stop. Stand on my grind, yeah. All in due time. I still ain't seen the king's dream, so until he arrives, I got some places I ain't been. You know Brazil on my A-list. Still gotta meet a few A-lists, but can't nobody make me famous. They even put me in the movie. They let me on the bad and bullshit, but God got me feeling groovy. So I'ma show the world that I got moves I ain't made yet. I got shows I ain't played yet. I got trips I ain't taken yet.
Listen and fight.
I got songs I ain't made yet. I got foes I ain't faced yet. I got hands I ain't shake yet.
Excellent. Time to destroy more opponents.
All it takes is a single spark.
This is your champion.
Lord help me walk in humility. Cause some of these folk acting like my sons. Talking back to me, getting out of pocket, speaking numbers to me like a fish. Looking at them like I probably blaze more for you than you'll ever get a trip. I lost more games than you'll ever get a trip. Pay attention. I'd rather die than to be out.
This is awesome. I'm the jump master.
I'm going this way.
Here we go.
I'm gonna go here.
Might be
Y'all wanna
something
go the
good
far
this way.
side. Ooh, nice. I really like this R99 thing. Prowler?
Shotgun ammo here.
Right there. I don't know what you got, but nice. Ooh. How did you throw that down?
I could use that.
Yeah, I got 99. I got good loot, so
Light ammo here.
First blood on the enemy.
One here.
good. Good check to see if somebody pushes out a pit. Want to see if we can catch them. Okay. We'll go down here first. Still 18 squads, so. Yeah. I'm dropping this.
Ultimate accelerant here.
Just be careful here, let's stay together. It's unloaded, yep.
R99 here.
Good on loot, honestly. Oh!
Barrel stabilizer here. Level 3.
Be a bolt or a choker.
Ring's closing in 1. You're not very close.
Alright, here, I'm moving a bit. Dude, lag. Oh, they're fighting. Containment.
45 left.
Let's go. Hurry up. Knock. Let's go. Hurry up, Johnny. Can you portal us in? You set it up here. It's in the water. Alright, it's in the water. If you want to, like, here, lock this down right here. Lock it down up here, portal us out. Down here, they're in here.
Making contact with
They're
the enemy.
looting. They're looting.
Down the fence.
Alright, he's resin. He's resin. He's outside. He's outside. He went in the roof. He's gold. He's gold. He's gold.
Placing a portal.
Down here. Right here. He's flesh. He's flesh. Flesh. That's... There's another guy in here though. Pathfinder. Gold, gold, gold. 130, 130. He's on the left of the wall. Right there. Nice.
We killed the last member.
Job. There's a gold prowler. Be careful. Lock it down. Lock it down. Lock it down. Yeah. While we loot. Did that guy get away? Maybe? The one that was on the zip line, did he get away?
I love loot.
Alright. You good? Need a better armor though, dude. Alright. Good job, good job. Here, that's...
I spotted an enemy.
Alright, here. Let's go check it out.
Time.
Someone just portal back. That's the rat. Oh no, it's not the rat. Run, 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 run. Oh man. Oh my gosh, these guys are they've gotta be
Shields are recharged.
He's right here. He's on me, Johnny. Right here. He's lagging everywhere. I 57'd him. 44. Dead. Nice. Nice. Good job. Get that armor. Get it. Just bait him in. Bait him in. That's okay. Yeah, get us out of here. He's setting the portal. Oh, I got... It's a new team. You're good. You're good. Just go through the portal. I'm coming. Dude. Alright. Made it this far. Just lock down that building if you have to. It should be fine. Should be able to zip away. Yeah, they're running into the team that was chasing us. Let's get in this building. Alright, lock this down, knock it down. Yeah. Check it out. Yeah, I'm at 82. You can rotate though.
Let's go this way.
Yep. I'm at 90, so. Oh, dude, I'm lagging bad. I like my new skin though, I'll tell you that much. They're fighting too. Yeah, they're fighting. I'm gonna go around here, I'm gonna place my zip, push us in right away, we'll be fine. Yeah, right. I'd be rich. I could retire. Huh? I don't know, this is I'm just right here. I got Where? Yeah. Let's do it. Man. Oh, right here.
Enemy spotted.
I don't know what he hit me with. He's just right there. You hit him? Oh, I got hit in my back. There's another team behind us. He's gold. What are we gonna do? You got your port? I can't do anything. Blocked. He's pushing. Just run out to the back right. Yeah. Dang it. This is... Dude, we can't rotate anywhere. It's crazy. Like everybody's camping on the... Might have to just start doing really, really early rotation pushes. Cool though. If you can get a good placement, we'll be good off. You got yeah, you got 2 kills already. So just push in as far as you can. Make us work for it. Yeah, you won't be able to get us. Sadly, I don't think so. Maybe if you portaled, but yeah, that's like the choke point of the map right now. If you're gonna do it, you have to do it right now. I'll just go. Yeah, it's cool. You got kills, right, Wavy? Or assists? Oh, that's good. All you need. There we go. Alright, positive right there on the branch. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I didn't even think about Wattson having the gold. I probably should have took the gold, but it's okay. The gold is probably best on people with movement. Oh, that is right. Wattson, she's more a stationary player. Man, if we could have made it to here, that's where we should have rotated. We should have rotated around the outside. I think that's what we keep doing wrong. We keep, like, instead of just going around the rim, we keep cutting straight in.
Yeah, I'm inside the next ring.
Should have went around the edge. It's okay though. We got at least for positive, so. Seems like it's really sweaty tonight. Even more than usual. Looks like all these diamonds are trying to get to master. I see a lot of diamond 3s. Seems like diamond 3 like to diamond 2 is like
Round 3, beginning ring countdown. Warning. New movement in progress. Attention. Delivering care package.
Preach. Don't have a church, but I reach. I heal the blind with a speech. They hit the beach for a piece. I brought my piece to the beach. Got some, got some, got some. They want that healing, I got some. They want that realness, it cost some. Costly, cost me penny bands. They try to block me. Told me stop talking that blackness over. Kick you out the party, gnarly. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. I found myself hit the lottery. No need to make an apology. Can't take that credit, it's gotta me. I broke the chains on the ship. I broke the chain of command. He broke the chains on my sin. Then put that chain on my neck. My lady told me I'm kinda fly. My daddy told me he gotta fly. Mama still call me her little guy. Grandma told me to go testify. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need the friend or the gang. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need the friend or the gang. Y'all know Craig gon' preach. Y'all know Zay on beat. Y'all know they gon' beat. Y'all press play, repeat. East side, east side, east side. I used to stay on the east side. They used to play on the east side. Gucci done came from the east side. I got that light. I got that glow. Look at me shine. That's how you know. I don't need diamonds or jewelry. Your VVS was a blurry. Been through too much to be scurry. I'd rather pray you could worry. I got the Lord with me. Walk through the valley of death. Predators on every side. I'm in a war with the flesh. They wanna feast on my flesh. This is not merely a test. They tryna put me to rest. I let them deal with the mess. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need the friend or the gang. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. Preach, preach, preach. I got the Jesus peace. I got the God in me. Don't need the ice or the chain. I got the Lord with me. Don't need the friend or the gang. Walker. Look crazy like a fire.
Make the right choice this time.
You know?
This is my favorite part.
I'm ready for whatever today brings.
Get rich off of dope if you let them sell it. Get a scale and a bowl, bring it up and sell it.
Introducing your champion.
This is awesome. I'm the jump master.
Marvelous. So many willing test subjects.
I swung to this position. Funny and true. Hold your breath if you have to breathe.
Let's go this way.
Where's the next ring?
First blood on the enemy. Using grapple.
What up with Diggs and all? What up with Tang and all? And then they got chains on.
Heavy ammo here.
You and the kill it. He in the house with the fam. He took the block and just ran.
Hold on.
Thank you. Recharging shield. I can see that the ring.
Okay. Got her. Scanner.
Let's go this way. Enemy over there.
Need to recharge my shields.
Giving my shields a recharge. Incoming here. Using grapple. Repairing. Hostile spotted. I'm repairing.
Attention. There is a new kill leader.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend. Let's go this way.
Level 2.
I need it. Giving my shields a recharge. Let's explore this way.
Champion eliminated.
Here I go.
New kill leader appointed.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
Enemy over there.
Copy that. Shield battery here. Giving my shields a recharge.
Phoenix, in here. Shield here. Level 3.
Healing up. Give me a sec.
The ring's moving, friends.
Let's go this way. Best box here. Hostile spotted. Setting a portal.
Ring countdown.
Frag out.
Archer out. Contact with hostile. I got the chips down. Recharging my shields. Shield cell here.
One minute till ring close.
Peacekeeper here.
Ring's not far. Healing up. Check out this way.
Might be something good this way.
Ten seconds to the ring.
Here I go.
Ring's moving.
Care package being delivered.
Enemy over there.
Package coming in.
Check out this way.
Location for us. Check. Target spotted.
Round 4. Beginning ring countdown.
Lucky us, we are already inside the ring, making contact with the enemy.
Need to recharge my shield.
Lucky us.
Recharging my shields.
Giving my shield a recharge.
Hostile right here.
Round 5.
Target over there.
Ring countdown.
One minute before the ring closes. We have time.
Punching a tunnel.
Looks like we're in the next ring. Good.
Might be something good this way.
Round ring countdown.
Let's check out this way. Say we move this way.
Only 2 other squads left.
Signaling an airstrike.
Airstrike.
The ring's moving. Contact the target.
Need to recharge my
Hostile
shield.
right here.
1 minute till ring close.
There's another squad. Firing. Recharging shield.
Recharging.
Grenades, watch out.
Let's go here. We're close. 30 seconds.
Follow the tunnel.
I'm taking shots.
Rings close.
We have our Apex champions.
I was born at the bottom, had to work to survive. If you thinking I'm software, can't affect my hard drive. I had to ask it was old, cause I hate to call him a zero. But I had to watch what I'm over at and go and give me a hero. Mind loading, mind renewing. Download upgrade, I had to reboot what I was doing. Me and my old self, we had to switch place. I had to clear my memory, now I'm loving this space. Was trying to get on the job, but now I own the job. I start telling the squad, watch me throw you alive. Oh, but I had to reload like troops. New frames, new aims, came with the change, brought flames to the game like woo. Now I'm switching lanes. Switch it up. Switch it up. I was a worker, had to upgrade to a boss. I had to switch it up. Used to live in the hood, but had to upgrade to a loft. I had to switch it up. Switch it up. Switch it up. Skipped on the bins and went and invested in. Switch it up.
Yeah.
My ex still ended up with a team. I had to switch it up.
I pushed on the roof. Yeah, it was good. It was just really, at that point, it's just up to, I mean, there's just a bit of chance in there. Who's in the ring last? Yeah, because the lifeline, she was, I think she killed me, I don't know. She was going through all the portals. Right. Yeah. Because I ripped that lifeline. She peeked around the corner. I don't know what she was thinking. Like 120, 120. She was like peeking. I don't know what she was doing. Crawling. Yeah, we did. We did a good job. We just, at a point, it's just kind of up to how does the last ring unfold, who attacks who. You know. Oh yeah, they were hungry. I wanted to get on the roof and they were there after we cracked them, but I thought, okay, I'm gonna climb up the roof right here. That boy, he had the devotion just ready. He would have been dead instantly. And they were good too, you know, they were not like, I think those people are masters, the predators. I think we played it the best we could have. Just really down to who focused each other in that final ring. I'm down to just died. Could have probably killed the lifeline, but who knows, maybe we would have got third partied. Right?
Let's do this, brother.
Right, we survived, we rotated all the way back around into swamps, and then we got that big battle in swamps. We won that big battle.
Introducing your champion.
Oh, am I supposed to talk?
That's good champions. I don't know actually, because it was a path that was the team squad. I didn't even look. How's the lobby? Oh, it's a beefy lobby, boy. Beefy. Reds everywhere we go. Yeah. I mean, slums is really the only choice. Or
Dropping in.
yeah, let's
Hang
go, I
on.
guess.
Might be something good this way.
I don't see anybody. Only Octane, Thunderdome, and then full going there. Alright, I'm going over to the left. You did?
Says not all of us are inside the next ring.
I gotta like restart my computer. Pretty kitted, dude. I don't really know where we can push though. Do you want to push? This team on water treatment's all they're a full pred squad. So yeah. Or oh, not water treatment, whatever.
Let's explore this way.
Runoff. Yeah. So we do push them. And we're pretty kitted though. Hey, dude. Yeah, there's something wrong with my PC right now. What's going on? Be ready, they might rotate this way.
Watch out for the new kill leader, friend.
Oh, that's them. You want to push it? I know there's only 2 teams, so that guy's knocked. All right, never mind. Just saying, if y'all wanted to push the runoff, they just knocked somebody. So yeah, it's something. There he goes, knocking another one.
Let's go this way.
Huh? There they go, right there. They're running. See them in the air. They're getting chased. They just flew off the balloon down here.
Zipline. Might be something good this way.
Yeah, let's just get over here. There, see the last guy's coming up the balloon right now. That might be the chaser. Predator. Get him. I don't know where he's going.
Good.
Yep, that is the Predator. The Predator's coming behind us. He's going right here.
Might be
Yep.
something good this way.
He's solo. He's right here. Right there. Right here.
Target spotted. The enemy.
Right here.
Shields are
Yeah, they're below us. Well, you're over there, not. What are you doing?
incoming care package.
This guy's
I
right.
love loot.
Yeah, the whole team's right here. Oh, they're running back. Let's come back. Let's go back, Johnny. Let's go back. Because teams are going to be rotating, and we don't want to be stuck over there. Alright. Where's that res? Oh, that's not a res. That's a double Gibraltar in the distance. Look at that. Southeast. Yeah, 2 Gibraltars. Look at this guy. He is a Goliath. Here, Gibraltar. Take that. Oh.
Let's go this way. Heads up.
Attention.
Oh, 47.
Champion just
47.
fell. They might-
What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
My shields are recharged.
Accelerate here.
Gotta heal. Taking a knee.
We need to get off of here. We need to push in. You want to push this way?
Let's move this way.
Okay.
Syringe here.
Right here, dude. At my zip. Yeah, we're gonna... Be careful. Let me get up here. I'll scout it. Dude, why does my game keep tearing? You can. Off the door. They changed it. Wait. 3 times? You got a scout? They rotated in, so...
Let's go this way.
Alright, I guess we just kind of wait. Yeah, there's still a lot of squads.
Maybe something good this way.
I can get right here somehow.
Round 2. Beginning.
Good news. We got ourselves a new kill leader.
zip
Got a
line.
way out too. We got a way
I
out.
am.
Oh, this door? Yep, I got it. Alright. Let's clear them all. Get out of here, you door. There you go. Good? Okay. Oh, that was perfect too.
Was a season when I thought that I had fell off. Then I sat back like you crazy, boy. You know you well off. Everything I had was ready. Nissan on the side I was bending. No chance you could see who was in it.
He's done. Oh my, he just killed the kill leader. Both of them instantly. With one clip of the R99. Yeah. Just literally dropped the kill leader with 6 kills. Instantly. Yep, I'll be back. Oh, yeah. Gibraltar. .38 blue. They're corner peeking. Whoa. That's another team. Alright. We're, They're far. That was like I don't know what it was, honestly. What do you want to do? I can zip over here. Want to zip over there?
Heads up.
This is kind of an open spot though if we get flanked from here.
Let's
Move back. Yeah, say we get back as far as we can. Alright. Are you challenging? Oh yeah.
Recharging shields.
Who?
I'm taking shots.
They're in the distance too, dude. Be careful. Okay.
Recharging shield.
Right here. I broke the door, so unless they have a Pathfinder, okay. He's right here.
Enemy over there. Flying time.
I'm not. I'm just getting. I'm watching. I'm watching though. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. There we go. I ran it. This is actually pretty good. I can. Got it.
Target spotted.
Lucky us, we are already inside the ring.
Ultimate accelerant here.
Care package. I love these things.
I've been watching. Yeah, I'm watching back there. Been looking down here too. Oh, nice. There's light. Hit.
Target spotted.
Just stay away from getting them looking at us because they got that havoc. That's unlimited. Let's see where it goes. Nice. Yeah.
Let's go this way.
Let's go. That's where they are though. Yeah. Got him.
We killed the last member.
Hey,
Good work, team.
thank you, right? I got no heals. Get this team back here. Yeah, do you have any heals? Because I got nothing.
Heavy ammo here.
79 in the head. Purple.
Taking some damage.
I got no heals, dude. I need heals. Any heals? Shields. I need shields. Even just one shield bat. Alright, we just gotta play passive and I think we gotta try to push this. We gotta try to push this team up here.
Explore this way.
Can you set us up with a play? Try to hit him in the face with a Kraber up here. If he knocks this guy. If you knock that guy, we push. But
Enemy over there.
get ready. Look over here now. Look over here.
Let's go this way.
I don't know if they pushed out. I think they did. I think they pushed out. They're good anyways. They ain't gotta leave the house, so. This is so laggy. This West Coast server.
Round 5. Beginning ring countdown.
Oh, he's still here. Dude, hit this guy. Hit this guy. If you can knock him, we're pushing right away. I'm distracted. 75. He's popped. Dude, let's go. I think we should push him. Let's go. The Pathfinder. He's almost dead. I killed him. He's hurt. He's burning. I'm knocked. Res me if you can. Oh, dang it. Behind you. No, it wasn't, dude. I know, and you weren't there with us. I called it, though. I said if we hit them with the Kraber. I know, that's what I said, though. I said if we hit him with the Kraber and knock him, we're going to have to push him. I had no heals, though, or anything. Dude, if we would have been shot one time, I would have not been able to heal. Right, though. I knocked him. I know, but to be honest, man, you weren't there with us. You came way late. You were way behind it, and I called it. I said if Johnny... I know, that's what I said, though, is like, be with us. Right, that's what I'm saying. We said be with us. He hit him for 335. I cracked his shield 74. But we pushed and... Oh, was to get heals. Right, so once all the teams push in and we're getting shot because we're in the middle, what are we gonna do? They're gonna look at us first, though. Alright, and if I'm shot once, I can't heal, so what? I'm gonna have body? That's what I'm saying. Alright, next time we'll try it. We have no heals. That was the whole, it wasn't just to push out, though, just to get kills. It was because we had no heals. It was just like the game before, though. Like, we had a push to get the heals, and then... Even if you do think it was a bad play, he was on the roof, he was alone, and then Johnny was facing one guy. And Johnny could have easily healed and got away, but man, you're 5 seconds behind us. That's the difference there to me. You could have threw your bubble, protected us, Johnny could have healed, we could have been outside, all in the circle. They went... That's what I'm saying, dude, because you're not there with us. But still, you're just not there with us. That's my point. Like, you get individually focused at times. And, like, that's the difference at these levels. What's your opinion, Johnny? Right, that's what I'm saying from the beginning. That was the plan. That's what I'm saying is we said if you knock them, we're pushing. That's what I'm saying. Like, whether it was accurately to say, okay, we're gonna do this, that was the plan. If Johnny knocks him, we push. And you knocked him, so I said, and not only did you knock him, I hit the other guy for 74 on blue. It's gone. And we got there, and I don't know what happened. They just got a good shot on you or something, but I knocked the Pathfinder instantly, and it was 2v1, and they threw a thermite. and then you came in right behind us, and we were already dead. I do think what you're saying is smarter. It's just that was not the plan. That's what I'm saying. It's okay. I mean, we did it, and it is what it is. But I do agree with you that sitting there was probably a better decision. But we said if we knock them, you know, that we're gonna push, and he hit him. So, and then I hit the 74. So I'm like, well, that's perfect. Bam, pop. But it is what it is. Just next time, if we agree to it, we just gotta commit all to it at the same time. Or if we don't want to do it, and we just squash the plan. And everybody's opinion is as valid as the other person's here. We just gotta make sure that we're all in agreement on what we're gonna do. Especially with Gibraltar, because you're the core of the team. You can res us, you can protect us, you can defend us. All me and Johnny can do is move us, which is important, but we're really defenseless in certain situations. It's okay. It's a learning experience. That would have been fine.
Ready and excited.
There's a win out there waiting for us.
Oh, we got this. We got this.
Introducing your champion.
Come get some. Move it or die.
Let's land here.
Here we go. Ready up.
Supply ship over there.
Like every yeah, we can hit that.
Let's go here.
Are they going for it? I think they're landing right there. We can't hit it. Yeah, they're going to water.
Target over there.
We get good shield skills, we get good RNG. Because we can land on one guy and just kind of weapon like that. Got purple. I got a good fire. Right here, good luck.
Hemlock here.
Let's go. I think we should push them.
All right, let's do this thing.
Here.
Heavy ammo here.
Yeah, we just gotta kill them. Okay. Right.
Let's explore this way.
We gotta together.
Let's move this way.
Yeah. Just do that. He's outside. Purple. Right here. She's cracked. I'm healing. One sec. Healing. I'm healing. Flash, you said? Where? He's out here on the wall. He's dead.
I killed an enemy.
Got it?
New kill leader. Watch.
Recharging shields.
Got her?
I killed an enemy.
Here, get in.
Frag out. Don't worry, I'm here.
Taking the res. Got no shield.
Thanks.
Here. Right here. Gotta get out of here. He's out here. Got molotov.
Take it first.
She's flesh.
Friends.
She's flesh.
Friends.
Oh my.
Surprise.
I was right there next to you, dude. Okay, shot his enemy.
I'm making waves where it ain't work. The devil trying to take my flame away. I love Kobe, but no favor. I still put them on the block. Still tell about the rock. They still never stop. Yeah, been on my grind. Yeah. All in due time. I still ain't seen the king. Until he arrives. I got some places I ain't been. You know Brazil on my A-list. Still gotta meet a few A-lists, but can't nobody make me famous. Ava put me in a movie. They left me off for bad and bougie, but God got me feeling groovy. So I'ma show the world that I got moves I ain't made yet. I got shows I ain't played yet. I got trips I ain't take yet. I got time I ain't fade yet. I got songs I ain't made yet. I got foes I ain't faced yet. I got hands I ain't shake yet. I got plans I ain't made yet. I got moves I ain't made yet. I got shows I ain't played yet. I got trips I ain't take yet. I got prayers I ain't prayed yet. I got songs I ain't made yet. I got foes I ain't faced yet. I got hands I ain't shake yet. I got plans I ain't made yet. Hold up, I am not finished.
Right here, shots
I'll
on
let you know when I get done. Lord help me walk in humility.
12,
Some of these folks acting like my sons. Talking back to me, getting out of pocket, speaking numbers to me like I fail. I'm looking at them like I probably blaze more for you than you'll ever get the trail. I lost more games than you'll ever get to play. You should pay attention. I'd rather die on the battlefield than to be at home like in pictures. And I ain't finished till I'm dead. Then I pass it to my kids. I tell them God's truth is like a virus, so give it to them till it spreads. This money I ain't made yet. Buy some houses in the hood. Put some families in them, get a dealer's jobs. They ain't gotta sell the goods. I don't do Perkins and Xannies. I lean on God and my granny. It's too much work to do for me to sleep in the booth. I can sleep at the Grammys. I ain't made yet. I got shows I ain't played yet. I got trips I ain't take yet. I got time I ain't fade yet. I got songs I ain't made yet. I got foes I ain't faced yet. I got hands I ain't shake yet. I got plans I ain't made yet. I got moves I ain't made yet. I got shows I ain't played yet. I got trips I ain't take yet. I got prayers I ain't prayed yet. I got songs I ain't made yet. I got foes I ain't faced yet. I got hands I ain't shake yet. I got plans I ain't made yet. Stop tripping on me. I can't lose. And all my blessings coming by the two. Ooh. I can't lose. And all my blessings coming by the two. Yeah. Ain't no hate.
I can do.
Another date. Yeah. Ain't no hate. You gotta catch me on a whole nother day. Yeah. I can't lose. feel like all my blessings coming by the tools. Two for me, two for you. Double cup, had to double up the juice. I don't do lean, all I do is rock. Catch me in a spot, double shift, work up round the clock. Make the music hot, make it work. I know she a flirt, I ain't got the time. Mess it up for a little cut. No, I'm on a grind, I got a house to keep. I got these mouths to feed. I've been working through the winter, I'ma show out for spring. I'm finna tear up the summer, hit the beach in the Bahamas. Blessings be coming in twos, but only one little mama. Yeah, I can't lose, and all my blessings coming by the two. Ooh, 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 I can't lose, and all my blessings coming by the two. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ain't no hate, gotta catch me on a whole nother date. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ain't no hate, you gotta catch me on a whole nother date. Yeah, 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 yeah. Look, I ain't worried about no hater. I ain't worried about a hater. I tell them do me a favor. Keep it up, put up on me. Yeah, they want me. No smoke, I ain't worried about it. They can't harm me. No joke, I'm protected. I'm too blessed.
Choice changes everything.
I don't do lean. All I do is rock in a spot.
Come on, we got this. We got this.
Cup be running over blessings by the tools. Two for me and two for you.
I cannot wait to win this match, friend.
Introducing your champion.
You know what I look like. Come find me.
I'm the jump master. I won't let you down, except by falling. Hi, friends. Hold your breath if you have to breathe.
Enemy over there.
Let's go this way.
Beginning ring countdown.
Yep. Gosh, down there. Get a weapon? Right here.
29. Pop, pop, flash, flash, flash. Flash it. Dead. Flash.
Making contact with enemy. First blood, and it's not us. Thermite grenade out.
I hit him, he's burning. Right here. Caustic went up there. He's on top. Burst in him.
Reloading. Just got one.
Listen, let me hear.
Took out an enemy.
Nice work.
Reloading.
Yeah, we're gonna get first. Right here. Nice, nice.
Enemy down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dang it. They're all gonna die.
That's me.
No, that's I'm I gotta restart my piece.
Switch.